Okay, a little explanation on pressure. All right, pressure is very important when we look at pumps. When we look at pumps, we always think of pressure as being on the outlet side or on the work side. But one of the first ones we want to look at, the short form, or I'll write it out, atmosphere. All right, atmospheric pressure is 14.7 pounds per square inch. That means that when we look at an area of 1 square inch on the ground at sea level, if we weigh the air above it, it would have a weight of 14.7 pounds. That weight of air is pretty much equal all over the planet, except when we start going into some of the mountains and that where we go up higher elevations, there's obviously less air, so the atmospheric pressure will change slightly due to that. All right, you may see that also represented as in bar. So 1 bar or barometric pressure is equal approximately to 1 atmosphere. All right, and there's a slight percentage difference, and I'm not really sure why they do that. You will often see this now on most of the new vehicles. When we look at the RADCAP, it will say 1.25 bar. So basically, what you would do is take 1.25 and multiply it by 14.7, and that will give you what the cap rating is in pounds per square inch. All right. Barometric pressure or atmospheric pressure, whatever you want, is very important when we start looking at fluid power, because when we develop or build our system, we have our pump and our outlet, we have our inlet. All right. When the pump is starting to turn, it's creating a low pressure on this side, or suction. All right, and on this side of the pump, everything should be pressurized. All right. On the suction side, we can't just rely on the suction from the pump to actually help get the fluid up and into the pump. So what we have is, for every square inch on my reservoir, we use that 14.7 psi pushing down on it to help flood the pump. All right, that's a very important section on this, right? What else? So those are and again, a little bit of deviation. And again, for suction, you will hear it often, or no, I shouldn't say often. There's multiple ways of expressing that. So you can say that it's less than atmospheric pressure because what you're doing in here is creating a slight difference in pressure, or a pressure differential in this tube filling onto the inlet of the pump. And what that will allow it to do is help this, or get this to help you pull that up in. Depending on the liquid, it may require more suction or less suction. A thinner oil versus a thicker oil. A warm oil versus a cold oil. All right. There is another type of pressure that we use too, and it's referred to as head pressure. Now, this changes from liquid to liquid because every liquid has a different specific gravity and that. But essentially what that is that if we had a barrel of water, right, and had, let's say we have 3 holes in it, all right? It's not so much, right, if we put a hole in the top or allow it to be open, the liquid in here, right, will have atmospheric pressure pushing down on it. So there's your 14.7. But what we will end up with is that the fluid coming out of the bottom will go much further than the fluid as we go up the barrel. Now, part of the reason for that is that, the atmospheric pressure on the fluid is 14.7 pounds per square inch, and that remains constant. But what we have in here, and if we get rid of the top 2, all right, besides having the 14.7 pushing down on my fluid, I have every square inch of this fluid has a weight, and the weight of the liquid is also helping to push that out. So we know that, you know, again, it makes sense that as the barrel becomes empty, the fluid the amount that's spraying out will drop off quite a bit. That is referred to as head pressure, all right? Think about on a truck, on a dump truck, where you would have the reservoir maybe strung under the box, over back by the rear wheels, right? And it's a very shallow little container, all right? That has a very low head pressure, but something where the pump might be located in a more difficult spot to feed, they may put a taller reservoir in, say, between the cab and the box, and that will have a much higher head pressure. And again, it's the weight of the fluid pushing down on the liquid, all right?